Hello, welcome to Nutrition Proportion. I'm Dr. Noel Aldrich. Thank you for joining me today in my office here as we look at spices of life. Spices are really important to help give us variety, satisfaction, to change things up a little bit, because you and I tend to get into some ruts. We do the same habits again and again, and pretty soon we're tired of eating this or tired of eating that, and spices can really help to break that up. So I want to take some time today to look at some of the spices maybe you already are using, and possibly some new ones you hadn't even thought about before. For this, I'm going to be sharing a presentation, a slide deck here for you to take a look at, and we will walk through these here together and examine some of these different types of spices. How to flavor your foods. So first of all, it's important to start with salt and pepper. Salt is really important as a main source of our sodium and chlorine, or I should say chloride. The chloride is the electrolytes that help our cells communicate with one another. So it is important for you to get salt in your body every day. The best salt sources I would recommend are sea salt or Himalayan salt or Celtic sea salt, also called gray salt. These are some of the salts that are going to have more minerals than just the common table salt. The common table salt often goes through a very high heat process. It's removing everything else out of the salt, and might even be bleached so that it is really white. And we're not interested in any extra chemicals, but we are interested in more minerals. And the more mineral dense salts that you're able to use will provide more flavor, as well as being able to provide those minerals that your body needs. Now, if you are drinking the appropriate amount of water that you need to be consuming each day for your body weight, then the amount of salt that you consume should not be a problem. While we're often told, for example, that somebody with high blood pressure should not be consuming much salt, and there is some validation to that in the studies, one of the things that's not often considered is maybe that person is also not drinking enough water. And the proper number of minerals will help to balance out the sodium and the chloride so that that is not an issue. So I do encourage you to eat foods with salt and look for those quality salts. The Himalayan and the Celtic salt should be quality salts that you can find easily. Another issue that we're finding for salts these days is that we're seeing more microplastics getting into some of the salts. So you want to look for a high quality salt that can be free of microplastics. Black pepper is a great source of pepperin, which helps to stimulate digestion and improves absorption of nutrients. You might have noticed as some individuals get older, they seem to add more pepper and pepper to their diet just to be able to taste something or enjoy the flavor. But actually, that's a very good thing for them to be doing, as digestion tends to get harder as we get older as well. So this will help to improve absorption of nutrients and should be encouraged. All peppercorns come from the same plant. It's just picking those peppercorns at different times that will show the different colors of peppercorn that are available on the market. But generally speaking, the black peppercorns are the ones that are sun-dried and should basically give overall the same flavor. Doesn't really matter the color so much. I do recommend, if possible, that you get a pepper grinder so that you can get that fresh breaking of the peppercorns, which will release the best flavor of the pepper, as opposed to getting something that's already ground and you don't know how long it has sat on the shelf already and is already losing some of its volatile components. So a good pepper grinder is worth the investment, and then getting some quality peppercorns for that. Looking at some of the common spices that you might be familiar with, starting with basil. Basil leaves and flowers are great for use in our food as well as just eating straight. Basil has a warm and drying effect for the foods and in our bodies. It has a pungent taste, meaning that it's a very strong taste, and some people would describe it as bitter as well. Some of the properties related to basil include its antibacterial properties. It helps to aid with digestion. It can be used as an expectorant, meaning to help you clear out the lungs, cough things up, and is also known as something that helps protect nerves. So we do like to use basil for reducing stress, improving depression symptoms, used during colds and flus, and helps to aid the care of diabetes. Another herb is oregano. Often basil and oregano are used together. In this case, oregano, we use the leaves and the essential oil. It also has a warm and drying effect to the body and has antibacterial, antifungus properties, as well as being a digestive aid, and is known to help relax the nerves. It also is great for respiratory aid, helping to improve breathing. Therefore, it's used for colds and fevers, for asthma. It can help to relieve bloating because it's really good with that digestive aid, and is useful for pain relief. Often people will take the essential oil and rub it over the painful area to help relieve the pain. Some other common spices include parsley. Now with parsley, we use the roots, we use the seeds, we use the leaves, we use all of it. And it's often an underestimated herb. It has a warming and drying effect as well. The roots will actually taste sweet, while the leaves will be a little more strong, a little more pungent. It has great antioxidant effects as it's a great source for vitamin C. It also has a good diuretic effect, so it'll help to relieve the body of excess water. It can be used to help promote milk production while you're nursing a newborn child, and is also helpful for anti-bloating. So you would use this herb for a urinary tract infection or for kidney stones, edema as well, and it is a great digestive aid. Turmeric has been becoming much more popular these days and well known. It is the root of the plant that we're actually using. This also has a warming and drying effect. The taste is pungent, and some would describe it as bitter. The properties that we see with turmeric is that it is a blood mover. It helps get things moving in the body. This helps to relieve pain, so it is known for anti-inflammation. It is also known for anti-spasm, and it can help to stop bleeding. This is why it is sometimes used to help with resolving ulcers in the digestive system. It's helpful for eczema, arthritis, as well as regular pain relief. Another common spice that most of us are familiar with is cinnamon, which is actually the bark of the plant. And we can also use some of the dried flowers of the cinnamon plant. This also has a warming and drying effect. It's a strong flavor, so it's called pungent, but this one is sweet. And so we will actually use cinnamon often to help reduce the amount of sugar that we put in the recipe, because the cinnamon itself will taste sweet. This property includes a stimulant. It helps to stimulate the blood, causing a warming effect. It can help to provide pain relief, as well as reducing blood sugar in a person who is managing diabetes. So they will take cinnamon tablets or add more cinnamon to their foods to help keep those blood sugars down. It's very helpful for colds, as well as useful for diarrhea and arthritis. And many people are aware of garlic. It certainly is a pungent taste to it. We use the bulbs and the flowers here, known as scapes. It has a good warming and drying effect, and it's very strong antibacterial, antifungus properties. Stimulates circulation of the blood, so it can have a warming effect that way. It's actually very good for expelling intestinal worms, and it can also increase sweating because of its circulation stimulation. So garlic is good for hypertension. It's good for cholesterol balance, helpful for managing asthma, diabetes, as well as parasites, and is often a treatment applied for cancer. These are just some of the common herbs that we're familiar with, but now you can apply these terms or these herbs to these different cases and see what kind of relief that you might enjoy. We can also think of spices in categories. And so I'd like to look at a couple of different categories, specifically looking at ethnic regions, different cultures, and how they use spices. So if we think of Chinese food and how the Chinese would look at spices, this category of spices are some of the most common spices that Chinese recipes would use, including cinnamon and cloves, pepper, but also cardamom, cumin, anise, fennel, a bay leaf, and even dried orange peel. One of the unique combinations in Chinese food is known as the 5-spice powder. And all this is a mixture of the spices that we've already listed here, a mixture that makes that authentic Chinese flavor. So you can make your own 5-spice powder with this recipe that includes the Szechuan peppercorns, the star anise, the cloves, cinnamon, and fennel seeds. You mix those together in this recipe, and you can store the extra in a container and use with your Chinese recipes that you would like to make. If we move over to Indian foods have a very different flavor, and yet you'll see some of the very same spices that we saw in the Chinese. There is cumin, there is cinnamon, there is fennel here too, but there's also turmeric, cilantro, ginger, and fenugreek. Now we take this combination and put it into a mixture called GARAM MARSALA, and you'll find this recipe or this spice mix on many Indian recipes. And it's simply taking these 7 different ingredients and mixing them together so that you can have your own Indian spice mix. Now, if you want to go on the Mexican side, how is Mexican food different? Well, certainly a little bit more of the chili powder, but also Mexican allspice, smoked paprika, onion powder, cumin. These are the typical ones that we find within Mexican foods. One of the specific mixtures that we might identify with is the fajita seasoning, which is the chili powder, ground cumin, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and pepper, cayenne pepper specifically. So you can make your own mixtures and be able to have this ready in the kitchen for whatever type of spicy Mexican-styled food you want to make. And then we go over to the Mediterranean side to see how do the Italians use spices. Of course, they use the basil and oregano along with parsley. Sage and coriander are common with them, as well as rosemary, thyme, and even mint. So when we think about an Italian spice mix, this is the typical recipe that would go together to make an Italian spice mix with basil, marjoram, garlic powder, oregano, thyme, rosemary, and some crushed red pepper flakes. Now, when we take these mixtures then, what I like to think about is how can I make chicken different each time of the week? So one time I could do a fajita mix with my chicken. Another time I'll do the Italian spice mix. And then moving on into the next week, try a curry mix or a Chinese mix. In this way, even though I'm using the same base of the chicken breast for my protein source, every different meal experience is going to be a little bit different. Or the same thing with working with beans or my legumes. I could do a Mexican mix with my lentils and create more of a Mexican lentil stew. Or another time, move over to the Mediterranean and add the Italian mix so that I have a more European flavor to my lentils. We can also use these spice mixes in our balsamic vinaigrettes. Find the right vinegar that you want to mix along with the olive oil and add this Italian spice mix or add a Indian spice mix to create just a totally different nuance that's going to go on your salad or go on your legumes. And in these ways, you will be able to create some great varieties, as well as considering what are those specific health goals or health challenges that you're working with right now. Do you have a little bit of a cough? Do you have a little bit of a feeling of being cold? Then let's add some more cayenne pepper. Let's add some more cumin or some ginger so that we get some more heat. Consider the day that you're in, what kind of needs that you have, and add that appropriate spice that's going to make the day really nice. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to our next meeting together.